Hello everyone, welcome to the SST classroom. Let's start our topic. Chapter number 2, People as a Resource. It is from the economics, and this one is the part 2 of the video. Let's quickly have a recap. What we studied in the previous video, students, I gave you the introduction of the chapter, meaning of resource, meaning of human resource, and I also told you a story of Mishti and Daruk. I hope you all remember that. Human resource again. So definition, I told you a story. I told you why I told you that story, because in this chapter whatever we are studying, that is only about the human resource. The human resource study is most important, and we should know that how a person can become a good human resource or a less or a bad human resource for our country. So, people who invest in good education, medical care, for good health, and training of skills give higher productivity rather than uneducated, unhealthy, and unskilled person. In a very simple language, if I told you that when a person becomes educated and healthy, आप अपने से रिलेट करके देख सकते हैं कि व्हेन यू आर व्हाई यू आर टेकिंग द एजुकेशन बिकॉज यू वांट अ गुड फ्यूचर, राइट? दैट्स व्हाई यू आर टेकिंग एजुकेशन. एंड व्हाई you take care of your health, because also it is also a very important aspect for our life. If we are not good in the health, whether it is physical or whether it is mental, so it creates lot of problem to us. So for our country, a healthy person and a educated person and a skilled person is required to do the development for the purpose of development of the country. So these three things in a human makes a human good human resource. ये तीन चीज़ों जो है एक इंसान को एक अच्छी ह्यूमन रिसोर्स बनाती है कंट्री के लिए. सो मैनी एग्जाम्पल्स आर देयर. देखो मैं आपको कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स भी देती हूँ. लाइक जापान इज़ अ कंट्री. यू मस्ट हैव हर्ड द नेम ऑफ जापान, एंड इट इज़ ऑल्सो अ वेरी डेवलप्ड कंट्री. वहाँ की पॉपुलेशन भी अच्छी है. बट सी पता है क्या वहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम, प्रॉब्लम नहीं, आई थिंक वहाँ के बारे में मैं आपको कुछ बताती हूँ. दैट जापान इज़ नॉट हैविंग एनी ऑफ द नेचुरल रिसोर्स. द रिसोर्सेज वट एवर वी आर हैविंग इन आर कंट्री, वहाँ पर नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज की बहुत कमी है. बट स्टिल दैट कंट्री इज़ डेवलप्ड. तो हाउ दे मेड इट पॉसिबल, कैसे उन्होंने इस चीज़ को पॉसिबल करा है, कैसे वहाँ के लोग सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं? वाई? बिकॉज दे वर्कड ऑन द ह्यूमन रिसोर्स. उन्होंने अपनी कंट्री में ह्यूमन रिसोर्स के ऊपर वर्क करा. एंड स्टूडेंट्स इन जापान, द पीपल आर वेरी केयरफुल अबाउट देयर हेल्थ. जापान ने एक चीज़ पे वर्क करा है बस, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स में उसने सिर्फ एक एस्पेक्ट ले लिया, दैट इज़ द हेल्थ ऑफ द ह्यूमंस. And the total education system of that country is based on the health. Everything is being provided in the school only, that how the students have to prepare and do the thing there in the schools. Health charts are provided to the students. They themselves have to make their lunch with the fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, and everything. So they too, they are very focused about the health. So they worked on the human resource, and that is why the Japan is the developed country. So human resource is one of the most important resource for a country. If you want to develop your country, if you want that people should have the great economy and country should have the great economic system, so for that the human resource development is very important. And that development can be done only through these three things. सिर्फ इन तीन चीज़ों पे वर्क करके ही एक ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को एक अच्छी ह्यूमन रिसोर्स में कन्वर्ट किया जा सकता है. तो human resource, basically we are talking about that a good human resource provide a good productivity. What's that productivity means income. If a person is educated, healthy, and skilled, then obviously that person gets more income than the unskilled, unhealthy, and uneducated person. वेरी सिंपलेस्ट एग्जाम्पल आप देख सकते हो, अनएजुकेटेड पर्सन्स इफ़ यू सी एनीवेयर, they are having the less income than the persons who are educated, right? So what are the, let's study about that, what are those income activities, because further, before studying the further things, we should know that what kind of economic activities we are studying over here, and how in our country, in India, people earn the money or people earn their incomes. So there are economic and non-economic activities. Two types of activities are there: economic and non-economic. People go to farm, factories, banks, hospitals, school, etc. All these activities that gives income to the people are called economic activities. Those activities through which we gain any of money, through which we got money in back, that is called a economic activity. And in which we are not getting money in any of the activities, such as your domestic work by the housewife, teaching by father to his son at home, washing of father's car by the son, etc. These kinds of activities are non-economic activities, because for these people do not get any of the money, any of the income. Economic activities do the economic activities provides flow to the economy. Economic activities, these activities contribute in the national income of the country, and that is why these activities are very important. Non economic activities are not given any type of contribution in the national economy, because we don't get any of the money. What are the classification of economic activities? How many types of economic activities are there in our country? कौन कौन सी इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज़ हैं? Primary, secondary, and tertiary. You must have heard these names previously also. These are the activities of different economic activities. So many peoples around you, they all are not indulged in a same occupation. You can see in your family, in your neighborhood, in your school, in whatever your friends, if you will ask to them that what your father's occupation, so you must have known that though every people is having different occupation as per their choice, education, skill, right? So on those basis of the occupation, these activities has been divided so that we can work on the economic system of country, so that government can work on it and make a good economical system for the country. The very first activity is primary activity. It includes those occupations which are closely related to nature. कौन सी एक्टिविटीज़ होती हैं which are very closely related to nature? देखो, all the activities are related to nature, but primary activities are very closely related to nature, because we directly drives the things from the nature only. Example, hunting. Hunting means killing of any animal, right? So animal is a direct natural resource. It is a natural resource and we are killing it and selling it and buying it. That is a primary activity. Fishing, grazing, farming, and mining, all these are the primary activity. Next, secondary activity, the occupation which provide finished goods by using the products of primary activities as raw material are included in secondary activity. The occupation means what are the secondary activity? Secondary activities are basically called manufacturing of goods. चीज़ों का जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करती है, दैट सेक्शन कम्स इन दी सेकेंडरी एक्टिविटीज़ in which we need raw material, and that raw material comes only from the primary activities. For example, manufacturing of clothes. If we want to manufacture clothes, we want cotton, and from where we got the cotton? ये कहाँ से मिलेगी? फ्रॉम द फार्मिंग, फ्रॉम द फार्मर्स. तो कॉटन इज अ प्राइमरी एक्टिविटी बट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ क्लॉथ इज अ secondary activity. Growing of cotton is a primary activity. Manufacturing of cloths is a secondary activity. Keep this in mind. Okay, sugar from sugar cane. The sugar, growing of sugar cane is a primary activity, but making sugar from sugar cane is a secondary activity. Steel from iron ore, etc. Next one is tertiary activity, the last one. Tertiary activity consists of all service and occupations, means the both of the sector, primary and secondary, needs a support, and that support is given by the tertiary activity. Primary sector, secondary sector, both are needed. Transportation, very simple example I am giving you. If we talk about primary sector, after growing the crops, we need to sell it in the market. Farmer need to sell it in the market, but how you are going to sell that in the market, and how those crops are going to be reachable or accessible to the persons? Through the transportation. When the farmers transport it from one place to another place, and even in the all over the country, import and export is to be done. So how it makes possible? Through the transportation. And transportation is what? It is a tertiary activity which is providing service to primary activity, even it provides service to secondary activity too. Whatever manufacturing is done in the secondary sector, that has to be sale or accessible to the persons so that we can use that, and that is done through the transportation, communication in different modes. So those activities are called the tertiary activities. So basically it is called a service sector. It provide service to the persons. So here are some examples: transportation, communication, trade, health, education, and administration. All these are the examples of tertiary activity. I hope that all of these things are clear to you. Once again, I am reminding you, let's quickly go back to the things that I told you: the human resource, and what are the major aspects in a human which can make a person a asset for country: education, health, and training. And why we focus on that? Because so that a human being can give a higher income. How that income is classified in our country in economic and non-economic activities. Economic activities further are divided into three sections: primary, secondary, and tertiary. And what about these three sectors? Primary sector is one of the largest sector of our country. Primary activities are the largest activities in our country. Why? Because here most of the persons are uneducated, and they all are indulged in the primary activity. And from the beginning, from the earlier time, India is a country where the farming is the prior or मोस्टली डूइंग ऑक्यूपेशन. सबसे ज़्यादा जो है वो फार्मिंग ही हमारी कंट्री में की जाती है. तो लार्जेस्ट सेक्टर इज़ द प्राइमरी सेक्टर, primary activity. Largest, and the second one is the secondary, third one is the tertiary. But if we calculate it economic wise, means अगर हम इनकी income को calculate करें, तो which sector provides us the good income? That is the tertiary. Tertiary sector provides us good income. Then second number पर है in India primary activity, and on the third number is the secondary, the very less economic things we are getting. जो इनकम हमें मिलती है वो सेकेंडरी सेक्टर से सबसे कम मिलती है. देर आर सो मैनी रीजन्स फॉर दैट, बिकॉज इन आर कंट्री इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन व्हेन हैपन, इट इज़ नॉट in good condition. Here the industries are less. We cannot make more industries even now because there is no land in our country. So many problems are there. That is why secondary sector is lacking. Secondary activities are doing by the persons, but secondary sector is lacking. This sector is giving less income than the primary and the tertiary sector. And why government do this classification? So that they can work on the economic conditions and we can improve it. Through these data we get to know which sector is giving us more income and which sector is giving us less income, and then the government work accordingly on those sectors who are lacking in economic conditions so that they can give more productivity. So different plans and schemes are made and shown by the government for the improvement. So primary activity definition I told you, secondary activity and the tertiary activity. All of these things is clear to you. For any of the problem, contact me and tell me. And that is enough for today. We'll continue in the next video. Thank you so much.